Hey guys, welcome to Rough Riders. Thanks for stopping by. Today we're going to talk about how to get content from devices like these to devices like that. So stick around and see what it's all about. So normally I wouldn't make a video like this because I try and keep my work life separate from my YouTube channel. Because I really don't want my channel to be seen as somebody that's just pimping his work products or work-related products and things like that. But I'm an active member in a number of different groups and forums and stuff like that where some of this type of stuff or topic comes up from time to time. So there was recently a discussion in one of the Facebook camping groups that I'm a part of where people were asking, how do I get content from my phone or from my iPad or from my computer to the TV set when I'm camping? And this just happens to be something I know a little bit about because I actually work in that industry. So I work for a company called Action Tech, and we make wireless display products. We do a lot of things, but that's one of the products that we work with, and that's one of the things that I actually work on. So I thought I would share a little bit of knowledge about various solutions, how they work, and all of that kind of stuff. A couple of disclaimers here. First off, this is not an official Action Tech positioning or video or anything like that. This is just me sharing some knowledge on the subject to all of you. Secondly, this is not me pimping our products. I don't want it to be seen as that because that's not what I'm trying to do here. So, what I'm sharing here is just some of the technical details about how this stuff works and what your options are depending on what kind of device you have. So, let's walk through some of that, and I'll show you how to get content from your phone or from your tablet to your TV, whether it's in your home or whether you're out camping in the woods and don't have internet access and all that kind of stuff. So, we'll talk about some of those options. So. Let's take a look at some documents or some diagrams that I made and walk through what some of these different connection technologies are, so that way you have a base understanding of some of the pieces involved. Okay, before we jump into how to get your Netflix or your favorite content from your device to the screen, there's a couple of key pieces of technology that we want to talk through first. And that's point-to-point versus infrastructure mode, or P2P versus infrastructure. With a P2P technology like Miracast, what happens in that particular case is the content is locally stored on my device, on my phone or on my PC, and then it will create a connection going directly from one point to the other point. In other words, it goes directly from my phone or my PC to a Miracast-enabled receiver which is connected to the display. That's called P2P, or peer-to-peer. Now, it can be done with any Miracast certified receiver. What I'm showing here is the company that I work for, Action Tech, makes this product called ScreenBeam Mini 2. It's a great receiver, and I'll talk a little bit about the benefits of that in just a minute, but this is not a commercial for ScreenBeam Mini 2, right? This could be the Microsoft wireless display adapter or any Miracast certified receiver. Right? They're all going to behave the same way. They're all going to do this P2P connection. They're not all created equally. That's where the difference between something like a ScreenBeam or a Microsoft adapter and one of the myriads of cheap adapters that exist out there on Amazon and elsewhere. There is a big difference between performance and reliability and all of that kind of stuff, but we'll cover that in a minute. Now, in this particular case, the content, as I said, is streaming directly from my source device, meaning it's locally residing on my hard drive or in the storage of my phone, and I'm just wirelessly connected and displaying to the display. So I don't need a data plan, I don't need a cell connection, I don't need internet connection or anything. I can use this out in the middle of the desert. As long as I've got power, I'm good. So, that's how P2P works. Now, that doesn't preclude being connected to the internet, because if the content I want to play, for example, is Netflix or Hulu, that is an online source of material, which means I have to have an internet connection in order to be able to get that material. So in the case of P2P, I can be connected wirelessly to the something like the Screen Beam or the Microsoft display adapter, but at the same time I can also be connected to my home network or to my cellular data plan or something like that, where I can be connected to the internet and get content from those sources. And in that particular case, the content flows from the internet over the network to your router, across to your phone, and then back up to the display. That's the way the data would flow if I were streaming something like Netflix. So, in that particular case, if I want to play something, from an online source, I have to have some sort of network connection or a cellular connection plus a data plan. Okay? Now, Miracast is natively built in to Windows 10 and Android 4.2 and higher, or at least most Android devices. There are some devices that don't support it, but all your Samsungs do, your LGs do, your HTC phones and all those kinds of guys, those all support Miracast native out of the box, as does Windows 10. So what that means is there's no applications you need to install, there's no drivers you need to install. You can literally take a brand new Surface out of the box and wirelessly connect up to a Miracast receiver and start pushing content. You can do that all day long. But again, if you want to stream Netflix or Hulu, then you do need that internet connection to get that content. The other piece of technology then is infrastructure mode. This is something that you would do with your Apple devices. Okay, in that particular scenario, those do typically need a home network, because what happens is your Apple TV over here will connect to your router. Your device will connect to your home router. And what happens is it launches something called MDNS, which is a way to be discovered on the network. Okay, so the Apple TV basically reports in and says, hey, this is where I'm at, and then my device will then connect to that home network and be able to see that Apple TV as a display endpoint, which means it can see content, and I can push content from my iOS device, from my MacBook. I can push that content over the network down to the display via the Apple TV, because I can now discover it via MDNS. And I would just use my native AirPlay application that's installed or part of the operating system of my PC, of my MacBook or my iPhone. Okay. Now, one thing to note about infrastructure mode, and the reason why it's called infrastructure mode, is because the content is flowing over the network. Okay. Now, Apple TV has built-in players for things. I believe it has things like Netflix and Hulu. I haven't looked at one in a while, but they have these services that if you've got a Netflix subscription, you can stream content using a remote, or you can use your phone as the guide to go find the content. And basically what you're doing is you're telling the Apple TV, go up to the internet, find that content, and play it over the network to the display. So you're not really driving the content from this device. You're pulling, in that particular case of something like a Netflix, you're pulling it from the internet over the network to the device. And your phone or your iOS device isn't really doing anything there. But let's say you have content that you want to play from your iPhone or your iPad. You can do that. You can play that localized content over the network, and it's going to behave kind of like a peer-to-peer. But the difference being is that it's going over the network and it's not going directly to the Apple TV. Now, there's a caveat there, because with iOS 11, Apple started supporting their own proprietary P2P technology, right? So what that means is if you've got an Apple device, you can do P2P to an Apple TV, but only to an Apple TV, because Apple does what we in the industry typically call a walled garden. It's a proprietary solution that Apple devices only work with other Apple devices. I couldn't, for example, take a Samsung phone and connect it to directly P2P to an Apple TV. Apple would never allow that to happen. That's their walled garden. They keep everything in-house. Okay, so that's how you would do it with something like an Apple device. Now there is one more scenario that I want to cover here. Oh, I forgot to talk about this. So yeah, in this particular case, as I said, your phone or your MacBook connects to the network, the receiver connects to the network, and then is discoverable and content is streamed over the network. Okay. So there is one more scenario here that I want to talk about, and that is using your phone as a Wi-Fi hotspot. Now the first caveat here is you need to check with your phone carrier to find out, one, if you have a plan that supports hotspot, because typically that's an extra charge. It's also, two, it's typically bandwidth limited, so you've only get a certain amount of hotspot data that you can push. And three, you need to make sure your phone is actually capable of acting as a hotspot. So those are your kind of your three requirements. But what essentially happens in that particular scenario is, this is, for example, I'm using a Roku TV box here to show this example. In some ways it's similar to the previous example with the Apple TV, because it's what we call a media streamer. And that means that it has things like Netflix and Hulu applications already installed on the box, and so it just needs an internet connection in order to get it. Now, if you're at home, you would just connect it up to your router, just like we saw with the Apple TV. But what happens if you're camping? What if you're out in the boondocks and you don't have a home network set up? That's where your phone acting as a hotspot can actually come in and provide that functionality. So what happens in that particular case, the phone and the Roku box will connect and create its own little network. Your phone is already connected to the internet because of your cellular data plan, so you've now just created your own little network. So in that particular case, you can tell you're using your phone as the hotspot. You can tell it to go find the Netflix content, go find the Hulu content, and play it using the remote, and all the data in that particular case would just flow from the internet over your phone down to the Roku box. That's using your phone as a hotspot. So that's a compelling use, but again, keep in mind you probably have data limits, and so of how much data you can actually do. And by the way, streaming video and Netflix and stuff like that is very bandwidth data intensive, which means you will use up a huge chunk of your hotspot data plan if you're streaming all weekend long for several hours a day. So check with your provider. Now, a lot of guys have unlimited data plans for your cell phone, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's unlimited hotspot data. These are often two separate things that you're paying for on your cell bill. So be aware of that. Now, the other scenario is you can use Miracast and use point-to-point. If you've got an unlimited data plan here so that you can stream all the data you want here, instead of doing a hotspot sort of solution like this, you would use a wireless display receiver, a Miracast receiver, and then you would stream the data down to your phone and then wirelessly push it here. And now you're not using up hotspot data, you're using your unlimited data plan instead. So that is a difference that you need to be aware of depending on the type of device and services that you're using. The other cool thing about a hotspot then is, because your phone is a hotspot, that means not only can you hook up your Roku stuff to it, but you can actually hook up your PC to it as well. So if you have your phone acting as a hotspot, you can connect up and your phone to your PC, and so now you can check your email, you can browse your Facebook and all that kind of stuff on your PC just like you were doing it on your phone. The only difference here is your phone is now acting as that local network router, that network hub, to provide that functionality or that connection to the internet. Okay, so I thought I had one of our ScreenBeam Mini 2 products to be able to show you the whole connection process and everything, but I somehow got out of my bag, and so I won't be able to show you that. So instead I'm using one of our commercial products, but from a user perspective, connecting with your phone is going to be the same. So let me show you how that works. So when you hook up your wireless display receiver, you'll typically get some sort of ready to connect screen. You know, again, whether it's our adapter or somebody else's, they're all going to pretty much, you know, show you this same sort of experience, this ready to connect. Now, what you would do then is on, you know, something like your phone. So this is a Samsung Note 9. What you would do is you're going to use a native built-in application for screen sharing. So in this particular case, I've got mine here at the top. I can open it up, and there's something called Smart View. Let me show you that. You can see it, it's disabled right there. It's that little icon right there called Smart View. That's the Miracast application inside of Android or inside the Samsung. So I select that, and what I do, it's going to go out and it's going to start scanning for available receivers to see what it can see in the area. And I'm going to be looking for a receiver with this particular name right there. So in this particular case, I can see the bottom one right there at the bottom. I select that, and in this particular case, it's asking for a PIN. And so that's a security thing that we've got set up on our commercial stuff. So I enter the PIN, and then I hit the connect button. And it'll go out and it's going to negotiate and create do a little handshake with the receiver and connect, and then start displaying my screen. And so you can see right now it's connecting, and there's my screen now, all, you know, so now I can play whatever content is existing on my phone. So if I want to go into my gallery and look at photos, you know, I can do that. I'm in the slideshow mode, and apparently my picture's out of focus there. There's a better one. And so, you know, now I can play my videos. I can go to YouTube. I can do all of those sorts of things, and, you know, push content directly from my phone to the display. So that's the kind of thing that you can do. Now you see, I don't need an internet connection. I don't need network connection. It's going directly from here to the receiver that's connected to the display. So if you're camping out in the middle of the boondocks, again, you don't need network connection. Doesn't matter, as long as the content resides here on the phone. If I wanted to play something from YouTube or Netflix again, then I can do that by launching the Netflix app on my phone. The phone will then connect to the data plan, pull that Netflix down, and push it up. So that's how I would do it with an Android phone. Let me show you how you do it on a PC, on a Windows PC. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to do it with your Windows PC, right? So you've got your Windows PC, you open up the Action Center from the side, and on there's going to be a little connect button. So I select that connect button, and it's going to go and scan, and now I can see the receiver right there, and I can select that receiver, and it will then connect my screen, my PC, wirelessly to the display. Since I've already connected to this receiver before, it's not asking for that PIN again. If this was my first time connecting, it would ask for that security PIN. But now you can see I'm connected and displaying my screen. Now you notice I'm not full screen, and that's because this is a 4K resolution screen, this is a 1080p screen. So it's got a mismatched resolution. To fix that, I can go into my display settings, and then I can adjust the resolution to make the resolution match, so that way I get the full screen experience. So that's how I would do it on a PC, and be able to play content from my PC directly to the display. Okay, so the last one I'm going to show you is how to do the Apple devices. I don't have an Apple TV, so I can't show you the Apple P2P. I can't show you the exact process the way an Apple TV does it over infrastructure, but we do have this support on our commercial devices, so I'm going to show you that similar process because it's from a user perspective, again, it's very, very similar. So let's take a look at that process. So on your Apple device, there's going to be an application called AirPlay. And so you might have seen it on your MacBooks or on your iOS devices, maybe not, maybe you didn't know what it was, or maybe you did, I don't know. But typically you access that by swiping down from the upper corner, and it opens up this menu right there. And so you'll see there's a button right here called screen mirroring. So I can hit that, and just like on the Windows device, it goes out and does a search to see what does it see in the area. And there's my receiver, so I can select it. In this case, I would see an Apple TV, or in an Apple TV case, I'd see an Apple TV device. And there now I'm connected and displaying. So now whatever I do here, I do up there. So this is all happening in real time. So now if I've got content, if I've got iTunes content or something like that that I want to push up, I can do that. Keep in mind, again, just like with Netflix and other online content, iTunes is going and typically pulling from the internet. So you need an internet connection for your iDevice. That's if you have hotspot capabilities, then you can do that with your iPad, connect up, set your phone up as a hotspot, and then pull your iTunes content that way. If you've got an unlimited data plan with your iPhone and you've got a cell connection, then you can pull it down that way and then stream it to the Apple TV as an endpoint. So that's how it generally works on a Apple device. So let me just sum things up, and we'll call this video done. Okay, so there you have it. That's some of the different ways you can connect your different devices, whether you've got an Android device, a PC, a Windows device, or an iOS device. You have different options for wirelessly projecting content from those devices to the screen. There's a difference, again, between local content that's stored on the device and content that exists out on the internet. So you need to be aware of those and what your options are for connecting those different types of things. I've covered those examples, I think, in pretty good detail, so hopefully you got a pretty good feel for that. Now, as I said at the beginning of the video, this is not meant to be a pitch for my company's products, but I will say, there is a difference. When you're talking about Miracast in particular, there is a difference between different Miracast receivers. They're not all created equally. We've spent the past 7 years optimizing this product and making sure that it delivers the best performance and experience. We're Microsoft's engineering partner. We actually help Microsoft implement this in their operating system. So we know a lot about this technology, and we've worked really hard to make sure it delivers a really good experience. So what I would say is, if you have a PC or an Android device, you want the best experience, your best options are either the Microsoft wireless display adapter is really good, or our ScreenBeam product. The others it's going to be very hit and miss on the performance and reliability and stuff. Imagine trying to watch a movie and the AV frame sync is off, and so the lips are moving, and then you hear the audio seconds later. That's the kind of things that not everybody does really, really well. I think with those devices, either our product or the Microsoft product is going to be pretty good. If you've got a Apple device, your best and really your only option is going to be an Apple TV for those types of devices. So those are your kind of your two choices depending on what device you have. If you're going out to get internet content, again, you can use your phone as a hotspot, and if you have a hotspot plan associated with your phone, or you can stream directly from your phone using your unlimited data attached to your phone and then stream it via Miracast. So you have different options on how to do these different things. So hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully you guys understood everything that I was trying to explain. And if you got any questions, please leave your questions and comments below. I'm happy to answer those. Thanks for watching. Thanks for stopping by. If you like this channel, if you like this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. That really does help me out quite a bit. It makes the video perform better, and it also tells me the kind of content you guys want to see. So, please consider giving it a thumbs up. If you like the channel, please subscribe. That helps me as well. So, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.